Hi, I'm Lara Johnson-Wheeler and I'm reporting live from the show studio. It's New York Fashion Week Autumn Winter 19 and I have just... Hi everyone, we're back. Sorry we had a quick cut off there, obviously so I could pause to gather my thoughts. As I said, we're reviewing the Eckhaus Latta A Autumn Winter 19 show, which just happened. We finished a few minutes ago and it's been held in Bushwick, where I am. You can see we're in lovely sunny but freezing cold Bushwick. Eckhaus Latta often show in quite deep Brooklyn, quite difficult to get to, particularly on a Saturday when they have the trains shut, and that's got a lot to do with the ethos of the brand, which is very much about pushing away from the fashion system, particularly that of New York Fashion Week, which has traditionally been held in Manhattan and in a specific area. Eckhaus Latta are a brand who don't necessarily like to conform to the rules. They very much pioneered gender fluid design, very diverse casting, and for them to be showing a collection here, it's more of a continuation of a theme that's very apparent. And in fact, continuation was very much, I would say, a common trope in this show. So to set the scene a little, we came in and we sat down, and we were kind of rammed to the rafters in this industrial building with an oval shaped ceiling. The show began with quite muted tones, something that felt a little different actually for Eckhaus Latta. Their colour palettes are often quite bright, a little poppy, but there was a sense of melancholy perhaps to the opening looks. On the press release they said sometimes they have a poem or a few lines of poetry, but it said here instead sometimes in life there is no poetry. So I did think a little about what that meant, what that was trying to indicate with the first looks, and I think there was something very muted. That being said, an icy blue dress came down the runway in a sort of silk tent-like shape, and from that moment the collection came back to something that into the sphere that we're more used to from Mike and Zoe. We saw lots of fleeces, we saw big furs, slightly ratty looking fur. Something that Eckhaus Latta does very well, I think, is to create clothes that aren't necessarily from very luxurious fabrics but look luxurious given the cuts. We saw a lot of suiting, particularly more menswear style pinstripe grey suiting. The clothes look very much in keeping with the weather right now. There was a collaboration with UGG, but not so much, the Glenn Martin's Y Project look. It was less about the sort of bulldog texture that you see on those UGGs. These were much more elevated pieces. And you can imagine seeing people walking around in New York in whatever the weather in this footwear. So it was a very successful collaboration, and actually a development from what they've done with Camper before. These shoes looked more sort of savvy, if that makes any sense. I thought they were quite interesting. Furthermore, I think that what was happening with the clothes is also another continuation, is that Eckhaus Latta managed to kind of have these fabrics and tones that could inevitably be quite art school teacher, but remain slinky and well cut because of what they're doing. It's very much about form, it's very much about playing with shape and size. There were a few familiar faces on the runway too. Susan Chancholo walked, as did Paloma Alessa, but Alexandra Marcella did not. She was very late to the show, and so she came in. But there was still the sense of family and community that is so inherent in what Mike and Zoe do, and inherent in what Eckhaus Latta do. When they took their bow, there was really raucous applause. People were very, very happy to see them and happy to see what they've done. If I'm honest, I feel that the collection could have benefited from a little bit more creativity, something more. It did feel a lot like we saw just a lot more clothes that Eckhaus Latta are already producing. And that's, I think, quite interesting and actually quite rare to see right now, when conversations about sustainability in fashion are really happening and really key. So whilst I think it was a very beautiful collection, some pieces were really very strong, particularly the two dresses I mentioned. One that one came in a very long moss green in a sort of tent like with capped sleeves, and the other was this icy blue. They really stood out as very elegant and elevated pieces, but I would say there were really a lot of clothes this morning, and I would have been happy to see a little bit more design and creativity. So thank you very much for watching. We'll be continuing the show reviews during this Fashion Week season, and so please subscribe to the YouTube to keep watching. Thanks, and see you soon. Bye.